on that? Daniel just said that maybe according to him, maybe there was less chances that Netanyahu would agree to a ceasefire deal. What is your take on that? And also, did the U.S. make this announcement in haste without adequate coordination with Israel and Iran? Now on to you.
Yes, thank you. You know, the announcement by President Trump came at an hour which was in the middle of the night here in Israel. So basically, when Israelis woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I'm one of those Israelis, due to a missile attack, and then 4 additional barrages, total of 5 barrages of missiles, they were surprised to hear that announcement, especially given the fact that the missile attack continued even after 7 a.m., which was presumably the deadline for the ceasefire. I do want to say that Israel does have a lot of achievements in the past 12 days in Iran, crippling the top leadership of Revolutionary Guards, crippling the nuclear scientists, the ballistic missile capabilities. By the way, even this morning, these 5 rounds of missile firing, I think it was less than 15 missiles that have been fired. And previously, just a week ago, we were talking about barrages of 30 missiles. So that has suffered a significant blow as well. The Israeli government still didn't confirm the ceasefire, nor did it make any public announcements about it. So I would say that the next 12 hours will be critical to see where we're heading. And as for the Fordo, which my previous panelists discussed, I think we need to be very careful from satellite pictures, which obviously show a picture only from the air. The story in Fordo, as we know, is deep inside the mountain, 80 meters deep, and to understand what has happened there, we'll need some more time. However, I want to say that in the other nuclear plants, in Isfahan, in Natanz, they did suffer a severe blow. So next 12 hours will be critical. Let's see if Iran respects this assumed ceasefire. As for now, we see that it continued to attack even beyond the designated time.
Avital and Daniel, you will stay with us. We have a breaking news. Iranian media has reported that ceasefire has begun following 4 waves of Iranian attacks so far on Israeli occupied territories. Now we go back to our discussion with Avital and Daniel. Daniel, now what is your take on this, that the strikes are continuing, and yet we see that there was ceasefire that was trying to be brokered by US, and how credible is it still given the situation and also given the breaking news just now?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't attribute too much to one side saying that from their perspective the ceasefire is on. Only when both sides have stopped will we, and it has endured for at least a day, will we have some idea that this may hold. I'm also wondering if in fact it's determined that Fordo was not as severely damaged as the Israelis and Americans might presume, whether the Israelis are going to be tempted to go back in and finish the job, or even perhaps the Americans with some more bunker busters. This window of opportunity that both have vis-a-vis Iran's relative defenselessness and inability to defend itself is not going to last forever. They know it, the Iranians know it. So it seems to me a ceasefire would be premature from the Israeli perspective until that confirmation vis-a-vis Fordo has been able to be confirmed. So we won't know that for some time as well.
And building on that, I would like to question Avital, that how do you interpret this idea of what was stated in Truth Social by Trump, that final missions, this language was used by him before a ceasefire. Is this just war continued by other means? Is this final mission before ceasefire? What does this indicate, this particular language, according to you?
The Iranian regime is known for its major manipulation tactics. And as we're speaking now, there are millions of Israelis which are still in shelters, primarily in northern Israel, and are not permitted to leave the shelters at this point of time. And as we're speaking now, we are still pulling dead bodies out of a civilian building in Beersheba, that's a southern Israel, a building that was hit directly by an Iranian missile. So 4 casualties just this morning. So I would take the Iranian commitment to a ceasefire with a grain of salt, actually with a lot of grain of salts, because we need to see proof on the ground. And I think, as I said before, the next 12 hours will be hours of high alert here in Israel. And as for President Trump, from his perspective, he brands himself as a peacemaker, and that's his line. That's something that he repeated over and over again, by the way, in multiple geographical areas across the world. So this is not different. So we will have to see. This is not sealed in stone. The next 12 hours will be critical.
Daniel, now what do you think is coming next? What can we expect from the next 24 hours now that there was ceasefire that was announced in Trump's Truth Social, and then now both countries, Israel and Iran, have attacked each other? Is there any chance of also Europe or EU or any other countries such as Russia and Turkey as neutral actors come in between and maybe de-escalate the situation?
Well, the ceasefire process is going to remain underway pretty clearly. I don't know to what extent parties like the EU and other countries like Russia and China might be participating or might be influential in that process. I do presume that one big reason why the Iranians decided not to close the Strait of Hormuz was probably through Chinese pressure, since the Chinese get so much of their oil through that waterway. And of course, not only the Chinese, but many other countries. I was also really heartened to see that once again, as was the case in the first Trump presidency and now again today, or in the last few days, that the Iranians decided to be very measured in their retaliatory response. If they had chosen otherwise, we'd be talking about a very different set of subjects today. But it shows several things in my view. One is that they are depleted in terms of their offensive capabilities, or if they're not completely depleted, they're certainly diminished. Another is that they don't desire for this to go on much longer. They are clearly the weaker party, and if it goes on, it's only going to be to their detriment. So I think we understand now where the lines are roughly drawn, and it remains to be seen if the Iranians are going to elicit the type of response that they would want from the Israelis through their actions. If they continue to send missiles, well, that's not going to be very good for them. So I think it could go either way. We're either going to see in the next 24 hours some sort of a ceasefire, and we will presume that it holds. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if we resume, a full battle stance again.
Building on Daniel's